And we are here today with a very topical interview, right, about things that are going on today in the economy, things that are going on in the markets. I know so many of you have been concerned about what should you do, what will you do, what's going to happen. Is your retirement going away? Are you going to be able to even retire? And this is another piece of the economic puzzle of all the changes and things we've been seeing going on that we need to come in down and talk to you about today. So as you guys come in to actually view this is what I want you to do. I want you in the chat to drop your name and drop where you're from. And if you're a business owner, I want you to drop your business as well. So your name, where you're from, and your actual business. And then we are going to jump into today's conversation. I want to make sure you guys are all ready and prepared to have everything you need in order to succeed. All right, so let's talk about who we are joined with today. Today I'm joined by my very good friend, longtime friend, Deborah Owens. And we're talking about savvy money moves in turbulent times and how you can turn volatility into possibility, right? Volatility into possibility. If you're interested in that, drop a comment down below and let me know. Deborah Owens is on a mission to help first-generation investors master the art of investing. Ms. Owens is a 20-year financial services industry veteran and former vice president with Fidelity Investments. She is a financial expert, author, media personality, and sought-after speaker, has been featured on NPR, TV One, CNN, ABC, SiriusXM, and many other outlets. Ms. Owens is the author of 4 critically acclaimed books: Confident Investing, Every Woman's Money, Nickel and Dime Your Way to Wealth, and A Purse of Your Own, published by Simon & Schuster. She is the CEO of WealthyU, a financial wellness company which provides coaching and training for organizations and individuals utilizing its proprietary coaching and training framework, the 7 Wealthy Habits. Guys, please show some love in the comments and get your questions ready, because I already know you got questions, right? So we're going to talk a little bit, then get the questions and Q&A. But please show some love for Ms. Deborah Owens. Hey, Deborah, how are you?
I'm great, Lamar. Great to be with you again.
Right. Thank you for answering the call as always, right, to come and share with our communities about how we can kind of prepare and just kind of navigate these waters and different things that's going on. But Deborah, before we get to that, can you just give people a little bit more information about your background and about what WealthyU actually is?
Yeah, so I wear my auntie badge proudly. I've been in the investment industry for decades, actually. And so the reason I say that is because I have perspective, right? So I've been through the 1987 crash, 92 crash, Y2K crash, recession. And what that allows me to do is to really bring that insight to the people that I serve. And so this might sound crazy to some people, but this is when I feel like I can be of, much more value to our community because I have this perspective. So I don't want to say that, this is great that's happening, but what I want folks to know is that this is when you really can turn problems into opportunities if you position yourself right now to take advantage of it.
All right, that sounds good. If you position yourself right now, and it sounds like you want people to kind of calm down a little bit. would that be proper? Because you said you've been through a lot of this right before, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so what I've been telling folks in the WealthyU community is to prepare, don't panic. Right? Prepare, don't panic. Like, I am not, for any stretch of the imagination, trying to be Pollyanna. It is hard right now. And so the bottom line is you need to be looking at your basic essentials. What are your needs, not your want. And the other thing I believe, too, is that this really gives you a sense of what's important. I liken this to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I don't want to get too deep, but if you took a basic psychology class, you probably remember the pyramid. And the pyramid, the top of it is when you self-actualization, but the bottom is safety. You know what I mean? Like when the cavemen were back in the day and it was like fire and, all you cared about was food. That's where we're at right now. And that's cool because now you can really identify what's important to you and your family and your values. And you'll see that a lot of what we held as important, some of this material stuff, it means absolutely nothing. But what you also see that, our parents who came, your grandma who came up through the Depression, now you see why they save for a rainy day. And so this is about right now getting your financial house in order, Lamar. And that's what you've been doing with all of the training that you've been doing on the traffic sales and profit, really giving people real access to real knowledge and resources that they need to take advantage. But I tell you, the difference between who will come out of this on top and not really is going to be those people who are preparing right now to take advantage of opportunity.
And that seems so real. And let me ask you, Deborah, because for a lot of people that may not be paying attention, right? And I'm assuming that, somebody maybe they got a 401k or maybe they got something that kind of goes in and they realize a lot of stuff going on, but they're not really looking at their portfolio and what's happening inside of it. How like for those folks, we can take a step back. How do we get here? Is it just all because of coronavirus? If somebody doesn't know, like how does the coronavirus impact the economy, or how did that impact the markets? Can we talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? Because if you think about all of the other economic downturns, well, let's just go back to 2008, right? A lot of that was a financial crisis brought on by leverage, right? A lot of people taking on a lot of debt that they really couldn't service. So it's kind of like it came to a head and then everything fell. This is different in that this is a financial crisis that has been caused by a health crisis. And so the underlying pinnings of all of that, Lamar, as it relates to the stock market and volatility, is that uncertainty, right? That's what the stock market doesn't like, this uncertainty. And so that's what this economic stimulus is about, is like, okay, we better pump as much money as we can in here to show people that the economy, business are going to still survive, right? So this uncertainty, though, is not going away, right? Like until they really figure out what this thing is and come up with a vaccine, that uncertainty is going to be there. So what I want people to understand is that stock market volatility is going to be there too. But here's what I want them also to understand. Very early on in my career, what I observed was that our really wealthy clients, when there was economic downturns like this, they did the opposite of everyone else. So while other people were selling, they were really looking at, and analyzing, all right, so a lot of these people are selling because they're fearful, but what are the companies that are going to get hit hard, not because they don't have economic viability even in this climate, right? Like there still are companies and stocks that are doing significantly well because they address what the need is in the market right now. So that's what I want people to understand, is that for some of you, and this might sound crazy, but it's time to up your game in your 401k and start contributing more because, especially if you didn't have a lot of stock exposure before this, right? Like you were sitting on the sideline and you were like, oh, look at everybody making money. It's too late to get in. The market's too high. Now the market's down. So like if you're 10 years out from needing your money, this might be the perfect time to start investing, right? But the key here is, I hear a lot of people say this, oh yeah, I'm going to invest in what I like, what my folks like, what people know. Don't do that. No, you want to invest in companies that are going to make money. And what that requires, right, is you understanding how to do the research on companies so that you can make a informed, calculated decision about where you're going to risk your money.
Okay, guys, so hopefully you're enjoying this as much as I am. If you're just joining, my name is Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic Sales and Profit. We're here with Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and the founder of WealthyU. You can find it at WealthyU.com. And I think that what you just talked about is something that's been on my mind a lot lately. And I always talk about the fact that whenever there's crisis, there's opportunity, right? And whenever, whenever anything major happens, I feel like there are large shifts in wealth from one side to another side, or from one group of people to another group of people. And oftentimes we aren't in position to take advantage of it. Sometimes we are in position to take advantage of it, but we're afraid and fearful. Sometimes we're in position, but we're not educated enough. And I love how, you just talked about being able to really know what we're looking at, and for people to kind of educate this. And this is something that you've been talking about. Like, this isn't your economic decline speech, right? I mean, you were on our Black and Married with Kids cruise teaching couples how to break down stocks and how to figure out which ones, and going through a workshop of like, which stocks should you pick or which should you add to your portfolio. So thank you again for just the work that you've been doing, right? This is not like, Deborah is not popping up right now for an opportunity. Like, she's been, out here doing this work. So thank you for that. But I love that part. Like I said, really thinking about it and changing the lens and saying, all right, instead of panic and fear, let me think about what the wealthy are doing, and what the wealthy are doing right now, looking for opportunities in the market that they can actually take advantage of. That was good, Deborah. So,
well, yeah, because here's what I want people to know is financial ignorance is expensive, right? It will get you when things are going down, and it will not allow you to take advantage of things because when it's going up. And so, I think it was Warren Buffett who said, knowledge is the best investment because it can pay you returns for a lifetime. And for our community, Lamar, because we are first generation investors, right? So I just really want to put this out here. So like, I know in the Wealthy Unit community, when people go into our coaching programs or even one-on-one with me, what I find is there's so much shame. Like, I do this and I'm making all this money, and I don't really want people to know that I don't know, right? But my point is, how would you know? Like, the way it works is, in order for you to really understand the investment game, typically a family member or a trusted financial advisors brings you that information, sits you down, you become 18 or 21, you got this trust fund. Now we got to really talk about you taking more ownership. Well, most of ours, my parents didn't invest. I mean, if I had not went into the financial services industry, I wouldn't know what I know, and I wouldn't have been able to pass that on to my kids, right? And so that's really what Black America, what Traffic Sales and Profits is about, what Black and Married with Kids was about. Really, it was just really giving people frameworks and systems that they maybe were never exposed to, so that now they can be successful.
I love that. I love that. Hey guys, again, if you're watching, we're joined today by Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we're talking about turning opportunity, right? How can you turn this volatility into possibility? If you have questions for Deborah, I want you to drop into the chat right now, and we're going to take a few minutes to answer questions in just a second. I love it. They're going crazy in the chat. Maxine said, take advantage of opportunity. She loves that. Prepare, don't panic. Tashawn loved that prepare, don't panic piece, Deborah. Let me see. They're going crazy. All kind of comments in the chat. Let me ask you, as we prepare for questions, for people to kind of get a framework of what we're really dealing with now, how historic is it that what we're seeing? Is this just like the kind of same thing that happens every few years? Is this like, okay, the biggest thing that's happened since the recession, in earlier, was that like 2008, 2009? Or is it something bigger than that? Like, how big is it of what's happening in the volatility we're seeing in the markets right now?
This is historic. I mean, a pandemic is something that happens every 50 to 100 years, right? So let's be clear. This is historic. If we look historically at stock market crashes and how this market has responded to this crisis, we compare this to the stock market crash of 1929, right? And that crash and the severity of it, how difficult it was, is like the market went down by almost 36%. Now, most recently, we are seeing the market go up in these past few days, but don't get it twisted. What I want people to understand is there are a lot of people who were not prepared for this decline. Hedge funds, people who are managing money, who are either covering what they call shorts because they've betted on the market going down and now they're exposed. Or the other thing that big financial services firms who are managing your 401k, what they got to be really aware of is if people move all their money out of stocks, do we have the cash reserves to be able to do that, right? And so what's really important now for people to understand is you want to make sure your money is safe. And so you want to be with very large companies who have the wherewithal, right, to be here when this thing is over. Because all I got to say is some companies, whether it be financial or otherwise, they may not be here on the other side of this. This is how severe this was. And the other thing I want to say, too, is on the one hand, I did share with people, you're 10 years out, you need to be looking at, maybe increasing your contributions. But I want to put a caveat in there. Because the other side of that is a lot of people were more exposed in stocks, right? Like they had been in their 401k. Everybody's an aggressive investor when the market's going up. It's when the market is going down that you understand, okay, how much stomach risk can I take, right? And so on the other hand, what I want to share with people is you really need to be taking a look at your investments and making sure that any money that you're going to need within the 5 years so is not exposed. So everything ain't for everybody. That's all I want to say. And so I think in this, environment, now you got social media, you got a bunch of people who have never experienced a downturn. All of a sudden they read a book and they're experts and you're listening to them. Don't do that, right? Like, get the knowledge you need so that you can really evaluate if a person is telling you the right thing.
Okay. And Deborah, that is perfect. That is the perfect segue into our very first question that comes from M. M says, where do you start researching stocks? So where can she wants to dive into it. Where can she start researching stocks at?
Well, so I would say the easiest place to start researching stocks, if you don't already have a relationship with an investment company, is at websites like, one of my favorite is finance.yahoo.com, right? So they have aggregated, put all that information in one place where you can research a stock. But you need to understand how to research a stock. So you need to understand their financials. You need to understand, how analysts are talking about them. And now, because you've had such a severe downturn, you really need to, all that information that you're looking at was in the past. The game has changed. And so you need to be able to ascertain now, what are the companies that are really going to do well as a result of this environment. So how we're thinking in WealthyU, and we were having a conversation in our community last night, was let's talk about what are the companies that are going to excel in this environment, because our lives have changed. We're staying at home. Like I don't care if they come up with a vaccine. I know most people aren't going to be like, yeah, I'm going back and I'm hanging out here. No, you're going to be much more selective about where you go, about how their facility is taken care of. And so there are companies that are going to really succeed in that environment, right? So any companies that, like, we're on eCam. I'm, using Zoom. Now there's always these virtual chats, virtual reality. So it's all about really thinking out the box, because really when you think about what makes a stock goes up are profits in the future. And so it's difficult to project that now, right? And so much of what you do, even with investing, is in a science. And to be honest with you, for most people, you could pick an index fund, right, where you have a mutual fund where you have professional money management, and they are picking the stocks. The key there is to just understand how you evaluate a mutual fund as well.
Very good, very good. All right, our next question comes from Mo. What's going on, Mo? Glad to see you and glad to have you join us again. Mo says, would you recommend waiting? Oh, this is a good one. Would you recommend waiting for prices to continue to drop, or should he get in the game now?
Well, that's interesting. One of the methodologies or strategies, I really think you should dollar cost average in, right? So you're kind of hedging. So you're not putting all your money in at one time. And that's really what you do with a 401k plan or an automatic investing program, right? You put money in systematically out of each paycheck, and then you're buying at different prices. You can never time the market. Is the market gonna, in my opinion, the market is going to probably test some lows again, right? Because I don't know about you, but now that we're seeing coronavirus, its implications, the deaths, the other aspect of the market is psychological and emotion and how people are feeling. And that's how when people are not feeling hopeful in the future, that's when they want to, kind of go to safety. And are they going to be comfortable being in stocks, and will they continue to sell? I think that's still a story. We haven't heard the whole story yet.
All right, awesome. These are some great questions, y'all. I'm letting you know, Deborah, they got some great questions in the chat. Here's a good one. And I know people inside of the WealthyU community. And guys, if you're not, make sure you join Deborah's group, WealthyU, right? It's an amazing community here on Facebook that you guys should be a part of. But inside, I know you've gotten this question. Rhonda said, should I stop my deductions in my 401k account?
No, right? But where are you going to put those deductions? That's the question, right? Like those contributions that you have going into your 401k, where are they being invested, and how have those investments performed? That's my biggest concern with people, is like they kind of put things on autopilot and they be like, yeah, it didn't go down, I'm good, And what they don't realize is that, it is a fund really performing above what some of its, I don't want to get too technical, right? Sure. But you need to, so should you stop investing? No. However, again, everything ain't for everybody. So I don't want to kind of shoot from the hip, right? But no, now is when you need to be investing, but you got to having what we call a wealth mindset in the WealthyU community is understanding that what we plant today is going to bring us a result in the future. We just have to make sure that we're planting the right seed. And so that's what I'm talking about as it relates to even your 401k plan. You need to be looking at how your existing investments are kind of in between stocks and bonds, and then even going deeper and figuring out what's the how are those actual investments performing.
All right. Let me see. We got more here. Deborah, I'm sure these questions sound real similar to you. I'm sure these are the questions a lot of people have right now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Lamar, we're all going through the same thing. Right. And the only difference in people who are going to come out of this, on the other side, really having taken advantage of this opportunity, is people's ability to take calculated risks and informed decisions. I tell even my community, every decision that I've ever made that was a bad decision was from emotion. And a lot of times we're in fear, and emotion is because of ignorance, right? That lack of knowledge. And then in our community, and I just want to keep it real, we have a whole bunch of beliefs that are they're like based in poverty and lack. And, I can tell you, there are a lot of people watching me right now, and this is what they're thinking. Yeah, she could say whatever she wants, but, that's, investing is gambling. And I told people never to invest because we never have. So that's the mindset that we have. The biggest, probably challenge for me, even with people in my community or people when I coach, so much of the work we do in WealthyU is mindset, it's beliefs, it's, really changing all of the tapes that we've had because of the people that we're closest to, who aren't even any further ahead than us financially or economically, but we're actually taking advice from them. You can measure a person's socioeconomic condition, their level of financial success, based on the people that they're spending most of their time with, right? And so the problem is so many of us are spending most of our time with people who don't know any more than we do. But we feeling good because they're like, yeah, you got it going on, blah, blah, blah. But that's because the comparison and our whole ability to believe what we can achieve is limited by those limiting beliefs and the people that and the community that we're around.
So good. And the comments are going crazy. The church is saying amen for you, Deborah, down in the actual comment box. Let me see. Jacqueline said, free the people. Deborah Owens. Jacqueline told you free the people. Bianca said, wow, you are absolutely right. Ava, who's in Northern Ireland, I believe Ava told me she was, it said, yes, shifting gears, right? They're tagging folks. They're going crazy. All right, I got one more question for you, Deborah, and this is a good one.
Okay.
I'm glad this is here.
Okay.
I think this is a great question to close out on. Mo came back. He says, do you watch Mad Money on CNBC? And if you do, does Kramer know what he's talking about, or is it just TV hype?
No, Jim Cramer and I are friends. Like, we got our stockbroker's license at the same time. I've interviewed Jim many times. If you follow my Twitter feed, which is just at Deborah Owens, you'll see us chopping it up. I just said something to him this morning. He's calling himself Jimmy Chill. Finally, he's calmed down a little bit. So yeah, that is one of the prerequisites when you're in WealthyU coaching, is that you start watching CNBC. Not just Jim Cramer, but all of it, Squawk Box, all of it, so that you can begin to understand that language. That language is not difficult once you understand what people are saying. And then what I'm always amazed at is how people's, the light bulbs go off and they're like, oh, price earnings ratio. Oh, now I understand, that's the stocks, right? The stock's price versus the income that is coming in. So all of that language really, it's really designed to keep us out. I mean, that's what I want people to know. Like, this is on purpose. It's not like, what I didn't realize is we just started wealth coaching 5 years ago, right? And so since this time, I've had some really intimate relationships where I'm actually I went into investment companies with people, and I didn't realize it, man, if you don't have $500,000 right now, you're not getting no help. It's like, lady, her prospectus is over there. Pick what you want and give us a check. But this is what I want people to know. Lamar, I am you, right? Like, I didn't know I came from Detroit, from the hood. My parents I didn't come from wealth or anything. And everything that I've learned based on my curiosity. Right. And when I got that first opportunity at a Merrill Lynch office, I started as a sales assistant. I walked in there and I thought I was like on a different planet, because I was like, why don't I know about investing, or, these people calling on the phone, talking about their portfolio. And from that, I wanted to tell everybody I could, which is really why I went on to, write books, tour with Bishop Jakes, do tours for the National Association of Securities Dealers. But it really finally dawned on me. Actually, I tell this story a lot. My son said, Ma, you could write all the books you want, but if you don't take people by the hand and actually show them and support them and give them accountability, then it's never going to change. And so that's really why I started the WealthyU community. As you well know, you follow what I've done for the past decade. And that's what this is about. We have to save ourselves. Stop looking for a savior. Ain't nobody gonna save you but you. And I think more importantly, that's what these crises really show us, right? That, like, if it is to be, it is up to us, but not up to us individually. As a community is what I'm saying. Your community, Traffic Sales and Profit, has been such a blessing to me, Lamar. When I wanted to scale WealthyU, that's why I joined Traffic Sales and Profit, the mastermind, and all of that. Like, if we want to go far, we have to go together. And too many of us have been trying to do it on our own and try to go fast, and then we don't have the kind of results or the impact that we can have when we're talking about a community.
I love it. And Tina McGill in the comments says she is so appreciative of WealthyU. So
Oh,
awesome,
I love it.
awesome. All right, Deborah. So, how can people get more information? How can they tie into it? You have anything they can get a hold of, or how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm giving away a lead magnet, and I think Amari has it if she can put it in the
Yep.
chat, right? It's called an Investing in Volatile Times training. And it's so perfect for right now. And the interesting thing about that training is that every time the market down, the principles are very consistent. So I want people to take advantage of that training. If they go to the link, they can just go on, put their information in, and download the link, and then they'll be able to listen to that training. But most importantly, what I want them to do is to join our Facebook WealthyU community. Since this crisis, I've been on every night, just taking questions and answers from folks. And, we do training, I talk about all of the media. Recently I've been on the Black News Channel, NBC4 in Washington. I've been doing a lot of training for the other side of our business is really with corporations. And so we were already doing webinars for corporations. So now that is just more in demand for employees because everybody's so anxiety ridden, trying to figure out, how to protect their money, preserve their money, and grow their money. So the best way to really get all of the information that they want is to go to the WealthyU community. And last but not least, we are doing a one-day event. If they just go to wealthyu.com, they'll see it. And it's a one-day virtual event, challenging times. It's a financial masterclass to really go deep into some of the concepts that we taught, like how do you position your portfolio? How do you put what amount of stocks and bonds should you have in your portfolio? Giving people the kind of historical information and perspective that they need so that they'll no longer be afraid and they'll have the knowledge they need to make good decisions.
All right. I love it, guys. So make sure you are getting a hold of that. We have dropped all of those links down into the actual comment. So you got the link to the free resource Deborah is providing to you. We also link to the Facebook group. So I want you all to make sure you jump into the Facebook group right now. It is full of information. Obviously, Deborah's dropping a ton of knowledge. She's always doing lives and doing trainings and connecting with the actual community in there. And I know the community has been growing like crazy over these last few weeks. If people have been kind of searching for answers and searching for help, and they found that help inside of WealthyU. And we dropped the link for the website as well to make sure you guys can go and jump on and get a hold of the information that you need to. All right, Deborah, thank you again for joining so much. Any final words, anything you want to leave the audience with, or things they should start with?
The one thing I really want to say to people is now is your time, right? Like we're in these homes. Now is your time. And I don't want you to spend your time. I want you to invest your time. Invest your time. And that means that you are investing your time in things that are going to increase your ability to serve others, right? Because it really is in serving others that you achieve financial success. It's not all about any of us, right? It really is about, in one of the first principle of the 7 wealthy habits in WealthyU is the principle of a wealthy outlook and the habit of adding value. It truly is better to give than receive, because when you give, it sets up a flow of reciprocity when you give value. And that's really the kind of shift that I believe we all need to make. That shift that is from one of what can I get to what can I give.
I love it, y'all. So that there says it all. Again, I want to strongly encourage you, get a hold of the resource. It is totally free, right? She shared the link and we put it down into the chat. DeborahOwens.com/uncertain times. Make sure you jump on that and get a hold of it right now. Don't say I'm going to do it later. I do not want you to forget and walk away from this conversation without getting a hold of an amazing resource that she's giving you access to. And I want to make sure you join the Facebook group. Grow Right Now. Click the link that is down in the actual comment and description. Click that link, go and sign up and become a member of her group so you can get this type of information and have access to it every single day. All right, Deborah, again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here. Again, like anytime we ask and anytime things are going on in the markets, you are, first to kind of step up and say, hey, I want to share with the TSP community. So we appreciate that from you.
Thank you, Lamar, for having me as always.
You're welcome. And thank you for all of you for joining and watching. Again, we'll be back tomorrow with another amazing dynamic interview to help you get through, right, these tough times with everything with the economy, everything with the pandemic, everything that is going on in this world today. We are going to help you. We are not going to leave you behind. We're going to make sure you have the resources that you need. Again, Lamar Tyler, creator and founder of Traffic, Sales, and Profit, signing off. And I'll see you tomorrow with another amazing interview. Peace.